Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network can be heard on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on TuneIn. We're on Podcast Addict, Spotify, and we're on Google Podcasts. I believe we're on Alexa as well. If you go to your Alexa and say, Alexa, please play Boxing on the Beltway, we'll be on there as well. And we're also on YouTube, Gary Williams page, on my Twitter page at Digital25, and also on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network page on Facebook. So that way so you can hear the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. I have a little short podcast this week. Last week we did mostly results. This week we're going to talk more about the schedule. We do have a pretty busy schedule for November, the rest of November. So we're going to talk about that this week. As a number of Beltway boxers, mostly prospect contenders and primarily boxers who are just continuing to be busy. They're going to be involved in this schedule coming up this month. And also, we do have a couple of results from last week, and actually, it was both last week. And a couple of Beltway boxers who kind of on the fringe of the Beltway scene, because they've just moved into the area. So we're going to talk about that as well. The Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the fast, natural, plant-based ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips as always. Great jewelry as well. And also great training methods. All Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, before we get to our schedule, we do have a couple of results we have to give out this week. Both were on a card. Both boxers were on a card at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, back on Saturday, November 7th. And unfortunately, both guys did come up a little short in their bouts. And these are guys who are not known for being in the Beltway, and they're just moving to the Beltway. And I tell you the truth, I've never seen. Actually, I think I've heard of one of the guys. I've seen another guy I never heard of before he came into this area. So this is my first time talking about both of these guys over the last over the career here in the Beltway. So we'll talk about them this week. One of them is a guy by the name of Mercy Elephant Inzao. He's from Silver Spring, Maryland, by way of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And he's a super lightweight, and he lost to undefeated Diane Butt of Philadelphia. All three judges scored about 40-36. It was a unanimous decision. Inzao is now 11-13, 8 KOs. Butt rises to 6-0 with 3 KOs. Again, I've never seen him. Don't know who he's with in the area. Just know he lives in the area originally from the Congo. So continue best wishes to the Mercy Elephant Inzao. Another guy is Annapolis, Maryland, super lightweight David the Demolisher Veras Pena. He was stopped in the first round by undefeated Nafir Charles of Philadelphia. Bout was over at 125 of the first round. Pena is originally from San Juan, Puerto Rico. He remains winless at 0-3-1. Charles is now 5-0. All 5 of his wins by knockout, and I believe either 3 or 4 of them, actually 4 of them, were in the first round, and the other knockout he had was in the second round. So again, 2 tough breaks, and again, I have never come across either one of these guys in person, so I never had a chance to see what they were like. So hopefully they will continue to box in the Beltway, and we get to see them more hopefully in the near future. So those are the 2 results this week. Coming up, we have a lot of things going on in the Beltway. Some interesting bouts for a number of Beltway boxers coming up in November. And there'll be an interesting schedule. We'll talk about the schedule. And actually, that schedule really begins on Saturday, November 14th. So as we record this, it starts tomorrow night. And one bout will be at a place called Hits 55. And that'll be in Covington, Kentucky. And that's where Baltimore, Maryland super bantamweight Glenn DeZern will be in a 6-round contest against veteran Dakota Laster of Hannibal, Missouri. DeZern is 11-2-1, 7 KOs, and he's been in front of the big lights. He's been on Showtime a couple of times, and pretty exciting fight, no question about that. But he's kind of retooling his career as of late, and this is actually going to be about where he's looking for his 3rd straight win at Hits 55. The last time out, DeZern won a 4-round unanimous decision over Michael Gaxiola on December 14th. Laster is 3-11-1, 3 KOs, and he lost by knockout in his last 3 outings. So, again, DAZN kind of retooling his career at this point, see where he's going from here. But Glenn DAZN will be in a 6-round bout against Dakota Laster. He's from Hannibal, Missouri. Of course, Glenn DAZN from Baltimore. And, of course, the husband of WBC super middleweight champion Franchon Cruz DAZN, who, by the way, is scheduled to have a championship title defense in December. I saw the date is December 3rd. We'll talk more about that, but no opponent yet. And it's scheduled to be, I believe, at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California. So well, hopefully that will take place. We'll talk more about that if it does. Also on Saturday, November 14th, at the Sports Zone in Derry, New Hampshire, Frederick, Maryland cruiserweight Larry Hitman Pryor will participate in a 4-round bout against the debuting Scott Lampert of Dover Plains, New York, by way of Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Now, this will be the second straight appearance, at the Sports Zone for Pryor, who's 12-22, 6 KOs. And in his last outing, Pryor scored a first-round TKO over Francisco Arrui Neto on August 29th. Now, Lampert is trying to make a transition from mixed martial arts. He's 1-0 as an amateur mixed martial artist. And I got to wonder about this one, perfectly honest with you. Why Scott Lampert is taking a debut bout, his first bout, against a true veteran, coming off a win, mind you, but a true veteran who's fought a lot of good people in his career, and Lampert's trying to make a transition from MMA. I don't understand that. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens there. Larry Hitman Pryor taking on Scott Lampert, and that'll be this coming Saturday, November 14th, at the Sports Zone in Derry, New Hampshire. So best wishes to Pryor, and I guess you say best wishes to Scott Lampert too, because I don't know why he would take this fight. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, on Saturday, November 21st, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we talked about this bout a couple of times. Hagerstown, Maryland super middleweight, the sexy Albanian Yank Plana. He'll headline a 6-round contest against undefeated Kynell Wheeler of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Now, originally, Plana was scheduled to take on Brandon Robinson, and for whatever reason, Robinson was taken off the bout. No word why he was taken off the bout. But Wheeler's going to be an interesting opponent for Plana as well. Plana is 8-2-1, 4 KOs. He'll look to bounce back from an 8-round unanimous decision loss to Maidal Sando. That was on September 23rd in Los Angeles, California. I believe that bout was on either FS1 or on Showtime. I'm trying to remember. But it was on national television, no question about that. Wheeler is 4-0, all 4 wins by KO, and all 4 KOs were in the first round. So you have to get out of the first round in any bout. His last bout, he needed just 37 seconds to knock out Patrick Pierre. That was on December 14th in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So best wishes to Yank Plana. Of course, he's trained by the legendary 3-time world champion and should be Hall of Fame, in my opinion, Simon Montekia Brown. And we'll see what happens going in this bout. Coming up against Kynell Wheeler, 4-0, 4 KOs. Plana, 8-2-1, 4 KOs. That'll be Saturday, November 21st at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, meanwhile, on Saturday, November 21st in Fort Mill, South Carolina, I don't know what the location is there. Got a couple Beltway boxes on this card. Maryland welterweight Hakeem Action Jackson. That's his name, Action Jackson. His father is Hakeem Action Jackson. So Hakeem Action Jackson. Welterweight from Ox Hill, Maryland. Being a 4-round bout against undefeated Brandon Cisneros. I'm sorry, not undefeated. He's against Brandon Cisneros of North Carolina. Jackson is 1-2, 1 KO. He's coming off a first-round knockout loss to Kashad Elliott on October 29th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Cisneros is 0-1. He's winless, should say. He lost his pro debut by first-round TKO in February of 2019 in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Action Jackson, Hakeem Jackson, in a 4-round bout against Brandon Cisneros of North Carolina. Also on this card, Dundalk, Maryland lightweight, the educated boxer Dorian Bostic. He's 3-0, all 3 wins by knockout. He has a 4-round bout against opponent to be determined. Now, this bout, once again, will be in Fort Hill, South Carolina. Bostic is a native of Cheraw, South Carolina, and he last fought on September 26th. He scored a second-round TKO over Juwan Jones in South Carolina. So he's been fighting in South Carolina the last couple of bouts and near his hometown. So a couple of Beltway boxers on this card: Akeem Jackson and the educated boxer Dorian Bostic. Another bout on November 21st, Saturday, November 21st, at the Brian Glazer Family JCC Auditorium. That is located in Tampa, Florida. I believe Glazer, his family owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe. So the Brian Glazer Family JCC Auditorium, Tampa, Florida. And that's where we'll find a debuting boxer by the name of Cortez Dunston. He's a heavyweight from Baltimore, Maryland. He makes his long-awaited pro debut against Gary Kelly of Montgomery, Alabama. Now, Dunston was a regional Golden Gloves champion. Remember, he was in the Golden Gloves in 2016. He won the Golden Gloves that year here in the Beltway, and he went on to the National Golden Glove Championships and lost during the Nationals. I believe he got all the way to the semifinal that year, if memory serves me right. He got all the way to the semifinals. And he hasn't been fighting much after that. I don't remember him being amateurs after that, but I do remember him in 2016. Now, Kelly is 1-11 with 1 KO. He lost by 4-round unanimous decision to debuting Arhan Castillo. That was on October 17th in Lakeland, Florida. So best wishes to the newest heavyweight on the scene in the Beltway, Cortez Dunston. He'll make his long-awaited pro debut against Gary Kelly coming up on Saturday, November 21st at the Brian Glazer Family JCC Auditorium in Tampa, Florida. Then on Friday, November 27th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, we talked about this bout on many times on the podcast. Columbia, Maryland super middleweight Ashton the Goon Sykes. He'll be in a contest against undefeated Alexis Espino of Las Vegas, Nevada. And they still haven't figured out whether or not it's going to be 4 rounds or 6 rounds. Haven't said it yet. And so we'll see what happens there. Sykes is 5-3, 1 KO. He'll try to extend a 3-bout winning streak, including a 4-round unanimous decision over previously undefeated Isaiah Hart on March 7th in Cheswick, Pennsylvania. So Sykes has been on a roll. No question about that. We'll see if he can keep it up going against Espino, who's also undefeated, as we said, 6-0, 4 KOs, coming off a 6-round unanimous decision over Delvecchio Savage. Tough guy. I've seen him before. Delvecchio Savage, that was on February 29th in Frisco, Texas. Now, that's be an interesting bout because that was the card that Dusty Hernandez Harrison was scheduled to be on against mine just left me. Demetrius Andrade. So he was scheduled to be on that card, and he just couldn't make the weight. His weight was too heavy at that time, so he got taken off the card, and it'll be Ashton Sykes on the card, still on this card, Friday, November 27th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. So that is the schedule for the Beltway. Coming up, I do believe there'll be some bouts. I think it's another bout that's in the works in November. We didn't put it on it this week. Hopefully next week we'll talk more about it. But late November, because some championship bouts come up in December. Again, Franchon Cruz DeZern scheduled to defend the WBC Super Middleweight Championship on December 3rd. And we're just hearing, and we're gonna hopefully finalize where this is going to be in the next few weeks on the podcast. But we're just hearing that Nick Kisner from Baltimore, Maryland, Ferndale, Maryland, he is scheduled to go after, I believe it's the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship, when he's scheduled to take on Beibut Shumanov. No, Cruiserweight Championship, sorry. It's WBC Cruiserweight Championship against Beibut Shumanov, coming up on December 17th. No word where it's going to be yet. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If we find out more about that, we'll tell you more about that on the podcast. But that's scheduled to be on December 17th. So that'll be an interesting way to finish off the year. Well, it's been a wild year here in the Beltway. No cards except for early in the year. And then of course, COVID hit, and that was it for the Beltway in the area. And I know many locations in this area are in parts of the area that we're just not ready to do anything like this. No crowds or anything. So it's been a tough year. No question about that. Been a tough year. But some of our boxers have been able to prosper. Some of our boxers have been able to stay busy. So that's good to see. And of course, by this month coming up, November, we are a very busy month for the rest of this month. So we'll see what happens. So best wishes to all our Beltway boxers coming up in the month of November. And that will do it. Like I said, a very short podcast this week. Just a couple of items we want to talk about this week. Box on Beltway Podcast Network brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods. All Deborah, Debra Spears.com. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thank you as always for joining us. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.